whatever way you look at it, Novak Djokovic is a lying, sneaky
He's an arsehole.
asshole.
He is an arsehole.
Like, whatever way you look at it, it's unfortunate that everybody else stuffed up around him.
That's it. I mean, he's an arsehole.
Like, to go out when you know you're COVID positive. Well, I don't think he was even COVID positive. I don't think that form is true.
He got a bullshit fucking excuse and then fell over his own fucking lies, which is what happens, right?
Yeah.
That's what's happened.
And then him now then ticking, he didn't go to Spain.
Yeah.
It's just like...
Yeah. But I think he's going to get away with it.
Well, he is going to get away with it.
Yeah.
But he's...
I think most fair-minded people would say, look, the bloke's an arsehole. Did they do the right thing by him? I don't know.
No, I don't.
They fucked it up.
I don't think so.
That's the problem, isn't it?
I don't think anything was gained by putting him in immigration hotels.
No, I don't think so. But the trouble is, how do you justify that person's on the same plane with him who also has...
You can't justify it, but the fact is life is never fair.
Yeah.
Some people fly first class and some people... Do you know what? Like, it's never fair.
But that poor Czech girl that was fucking sent home, hunted down and sent home.
Boom shakalaka, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters around the world. It is your boy, Chris Shule, a.k.a. the Esoteric Noetic, a.k.a. the Chocolate Nubian Soul Brother from Ghana, West Africa. Dropping the wisdomatic truth bombs here in Melbourne, Australia, mate. Be sure to like the video, subscribe, click on the bell, tell your friends, tell your mum, drop us some comments, drop us those cryptocurrencies. You know what it is. Let's get it. Oh, there is nothing more beautiful than when the hot mic is on and you get to hear what people really think about what is going on. And in classic fashion, the mainstream news has played themselves. Whatever way you look at it, Novak Djokovic is a sneaky asshole. And it seems this is the sentiment of the mainstream media in Australia, mate. And to some extent, I would say the sentiment of a lot of the Australians. They've fallen into this idea that somehow someone that is trying to free themselves from tyranny is a bad person because they're having tyranny applied on them. It's this crabs in the bucket attitude that a lot of Australians have. You know, when one crab tries to pull itself out of the bucket, all the other crabs try to pull them down. When Novak Djokovic is essentially trying to do something that he very much has the right to do, has come into the country, has followed all the regulations, got himself a medical exemption, provided the evidence of the Border Patrol in Australia, and nonetheless, the Australian government has gone after him. Now, granted, there are some people that are saying that, look, what he's doing seems dubious, that he probably manufactured the evidence, and I think he's a lying, sneaky asshole. Well, how about this? Rather than focusing on whether or not he has done that, how about focusing on the fact that the government is actually restricting people from doing something they have the right to do? Which, by the way, in a situation like that, you have every right to use deception in order to thwart the violent action. A lot of people don't look at this shit logically and rationally. In the same way that you have a look at 1930s Germany, and there were people that we would call virtuous right now, that were hiding Jews in their basement. SS guards were coming in to their homes asking if they had Jews in their basement. Now, some of these momos, a lot of the Christians actually would have the mentality that, look, they had to tell the truth in a situation like that. Right? You got to tell the SS guards that you're holding Jews, knowing that these people are going to kill them, not realizing that you have an absolute right to defend these people, thwart the violent action, because you're not the aggressor here. I mean, it's not real fraud because they're not entitled to that information. And in the event that you lie to them, essentially you were preventing someone from harming people you care about. But a lot of people don't have the logical, philosophical understanding of how this stuff actually works. And they say stupid things like, oh, look, you shouldn't be using deception. And then we have a look at a couple of 100 years ago in West Virginia, where they made it illegal to actually not hunt runaway slaves. So in the event that slaves are running away out of their slave owners, it was your duty to actually hunt them down. Otherwise, you would receive a $1,000 fine and spend 6 months in jail. And the people that thought that that was wrong were actually targeted. Right? How insane is that? And a lot of people would have the mentality that you shouldn't lie to the government in a situation like that. You should tell them the truth. Tell them that if you're caught trying to hide runaway slaves, if you're caught helping them through these underground railways, roads and so forth, that you should tell the government the truth. Not realizing that you absolutely, I would say, you have a moral responsibility in order to help these people. Help the people that are being oppressed, and use every form of force in order to thwart the violent action, whether it's deception or whether it is using a gun and killing these people that are trying to take away the freedoms of the people that you were trying to protect. But this is how twisted we seem to get it at the moment. Oh, look, mate, Novak Djokovic is a lying asshole. Anyway, they're just my thoughts on what's going on, and I found that situation very enlightening in regards to the attitude that the Australian mainstream media seem to have about Djokovic. On another note, I came across a really fascinating article on a study that finds people wearing masks, or wait for it, meaner, more selfish, less moral, and more compassionate. And it's interesting because a lot of people that wear masks, they think, oh, look, man, I'm a very compassionate person. And they're doing this thing because they care about spreading, the dreaded boom shakalaka, the virus and so forth, and they're trying to keep everyone healthy, right? And look, those grounds, I respect that. But what a lot of these momos fail to understand is that a lot of people that are not wearing masks, they have similar altruistic motivations, not the same ones, right? However, they're not wearing these masks because they're trying to make a stand, because they don't want to see the freedoms not only of them, but their family, but the entire world eroded, because they see what this is leading to, more and more tyranny. And they're also concerned about the future of the unborn, living in a society where you have no freedoms, because historically we can see where this always goes. So it's actually the same kind of compassionate stance, but the distinction is that the latter takes a lot more courage. A lot of people think that obedience is a virtue. Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, obedience is not a virtue. That's how you get yourself committing genocide, going along with the most atrocious things historically. And that's why we are seeing so many momos right now fall victim to the same nonsense that we've seen time and time again. And has this thing gotten any better? Do we have our freedoms back? Was it 2 weeks to flatten the curve? Or are we seeing more and more totalitarian restrictions applied day in, day out? So it's actually understandable that some people wear masks because they're being compassionate, right? But a lot of people that don't wear masks are doing it for the same reasons. But here's the fundamental distinction. You find that a lot of the people that are wearing masks are wearing this kind of stuff because not only do they want to go along with the current status quo, but it's actually a lot easier to do horrible things when you are anonymous. Have a look at YouTube. If anyone wants to see some of the worst aspects of humanity, you got to check out the comments on YouTube. And it's typically those that are anonymous, that don't want to reveal their identity, that say the most horrible, slanderous, mean shit. And there's this theme you find. It's a common idea that we find within psychology, that when there is anonymity, people typically tend to be more willing to do things because they don't feel accountable for their actions. Your character is determined not by what you do when people are watching you, but how you behave when no one is watching you. It's about integrity. It is about your own moral soundness. It is not about the perspective that everyone has towards you. But most people look at morality in terms of virtue signaling. Oh, everyone needs to see that I'm doing great things, and provided I have no mask on, I will do great things. And then, of course, it's the ideology of mask wearers. More often than not, they believe there's nothing wrong with eroding people's freedoms for the greater good, which is the very definition of immorality. A lot of people have lost sight of the actual concept of what we call moral philosophy, the natural law. And they seem to think that morality is subjective, that you can have one set of laws applying to one group of people and another set of laws applying to another group of people. It doesn't work like that. If something is wrong for you, it's wrong for me. People that actually believe in mask wearing believe that it's all right to have their rights suppressed because how the government suppressed their rights in order to achieve certain goals. It's the denial of all objective morals in the pursuit of the greater good. It's where you use safety, this deceptive amorphous idea, in order to eradicate what we actually call moral principles. And if we go into this study, there's some very clear examples in history to show that people that tend to wear masks, tend to have anonymity, tend to be the most immoral people. So there's one situation where children were wearing masks. They found children wearing masks are almost twice as likely to break rules as children not wearing masks. In a study, children were told they may each take 2 pieces of candy. Half of the kids were wearing masks as part of their Halloween costumes. The other half were barefaced. 62% of the masked children took more than 2 pieces, but only 37% of the barefaced children cheated. Another example, and this goes back a few decades ago to the 70s, swinging 70s. In a 1976 study, researchers recruited college students to walk around campus carrying sexually suggestive signs. Students were, bearing in mind this was the 1970s where they weren't as openly sexual, students were offered money to perform the stunt. One group was also offered masks to wear while performing the feat. The students who were offered masks demanded $29, while students who were not given masks demanded $48. It's interesting. It shows that the people that are willing to maintain their open and honest personality, show their character, they are actually asking for more money because they, one, know that they are going to be themselves, and as a result, they realize that being yourselves is something that requires more reward. You know, it's like you tend to be cheaper, I think, when you're anonymous, when you know you're going to be doing something dubious, you know. But integrity has a high price. People value that kind of stuff, and they know that that's something that is going to be rewarded. In a study to test that, this is another situation, in a study to test the pro-social behavior of people wearing sunglasses, which are less concealing than masks, researchers found that sunglasses made people more selfish. Asked how much of $6 they'd be willing to share with a stranger, people in clear eyeglasses offered almost twice as much as those in sunglasses. Very shady people, those wearing sunglasses. Oh. Some glasses don't confer as great a degree of anonymity as masks, but there's a large body of evidence showing masks' detrimental impact on moral behavior. Throughout history, governments have regulated masks in the interest of maintaining public order. We can go back as far as over 1,000 years ago in the Arabic Empire, where they enforced mask wearing as a way of taking away the individuality of people. It would be easier to control them, make them all act as a hive mind. This is a common theme that has been used throughout history as a way of making people behave in fashion. You know, morality is not about what people think of you, how they perceive you. It's how you feel about yourself. It's your own integrity. A lot of people don't know what integrity means. There was a year that was the most looked up word on Google. People not realizing that it deals with moral soundness. It comes from the roots of the word integer, wholeness. When you are whole within yourself, you are whole because you are consistent with who you are, what you say, what you do, and how you act. When you are not in line with who you are, when you are ashamed because you know that you are doing things that are not in line with who you are, that's when you start manifesting a fracture, like unwholeness, a schizophrenia. And you can wear as many masks as you want. You can't shield that stuff. On a conscious level, you think you're shielding. You think that people don't know who you are, and people think that that's it's okay to do horrible things because as long as the world thinks they're good, that's fine. But truly, it only matters who you think you are. I don't do shit. I mean, I do shit all the time because I want people to think I'm funny, entertaining, and I want people to think I have a big, long schlong, and a whole bunch of things. But that's got nothing to do with ethics and morality. Anything that I do that I think is a good thing, I do not because of what people think of me. It's because of what I think of myself. I want to feel good about myself, period. So when these momos say, oh, look, mate, you're doing what you're doing because you all want us to think you're a good person. No, I mean, I want you guys to think I'm funny and I'm entertaining. and I can drop the wisdomatic truth bombs, but it's got nothing to do about you thinking I'm a good person. I could not give a rat's ass. I am the most incorrigible person I know. I'm the most self-righteous person I know when it comes to what people think about my ethics, because the vast majority of people, have a look around you, don't even have the moral compass to discern that what is going on right now is completely insane. Their perception of you is irrelevant. It's what you do with your life that determines who you are, your own moral worth. It is your own duty to uplift the vibration of the world, to uplift yourself up. That's how you bring about an efflorescence of consciousness within yourself. You don't change your own perspective of yourself in terms of a moral sense by making people think you are a good person. You change it within. It lies within. So it's pretty obvious, ladies and gentlemen, that people that are wearing masks, and anyone that has seen how the police officers behave just over the last few years compared to how they used to behave, now granted, don't get me wrong, I don't think cops are the most virtuous people, period, but you realize that anytime they are taking advantage of someone, anytime they are trying to write up a fine or beat someone up because they're not in line with these show directives, these unlawful directives, these unlawful mandates, they wear a mask. They do this because they're trying to hide who they are, because they know what they're doing is wrong. And it's typically why, I mean, you see in the movies, right? The gangsters, they always break into the bank wearing a mask to hide their identity because they don't want to be found out. So perhaps you need to consider yourself, those that are very much in line with the whole virtue signaling thing, I'm wearing a mask, perhaps you need to consider, if you're considering how people perceive you, that a lot of people that are actually a bit more understanding in regards to what's going on will perceive you as being a disingenuous momo. Now, don't get me wrong. Look, we shouldn't generalize. There's some people that wear masks for the right reasons. But I think what you'll find is that a lot of people are doing that, psychologically speaking. I mean, forget the science, not about the science. They're doing that for the wrong reasons. They're doing that not because of how they perceive themselves, but how other people perceive them. And that's not the right way to go about virtuous behavior. Ladies and gentlemen, freaks and geeks, let us know what you think about mask wearing in the comments below. Now, obviously, I want to say to everyone that you should wear a mask. It's the right thing to do. You've got to protect everyone, obviously. And you got to listen to your government, listen to the World Health Organization, listen to the CDC. They know what's best for you. And obedience is a virtue. All right, be sure to like the video, subscribe, click on the bell, tell your friends, tell your mum, drop some comments, let us know what it is. This is your boy, Krishul. Surya Namaskara. Namaste. Peace be upon your butt cheeks. Illuminate your minds with wisdom. Strengthen your will with love. Strive to be the best that you can be. Oh! Purge all negative thought patterns from your existence, yo. Signing out, Chris Jewell.
What is liberty?
What the? Who says you can't build muscle on a vegan diet?
What's it like being a hottie in the vegan community? There are no political solutions, only technological ones.
The economics of the system don't allow multiple competing systems to survive.
Engineering, technology, these arts of humanity, they are magic.